Welcome to YLC, the Young Leaders Committee that promotes and grows youth leadership that ensures the future leaders lead from today by educating and inspiring them to soar higher and higher.
Welcome to YLC, the Young Leaders Committee, the leadership channel for growing and supporting leaders in all spheres of life. We will continue today from where we left off last time on effective communication. We established the fact that communication is vital and that it exists among human beings and that even among non-humans, that there is still communication. Now that we are done with the ideal communication process, let's look more closely at some of the things we have already mentioned and their significance. Number one, active listening and its relevance. Active listening is very, very important. In our immediate past video, we talked about decoding a transmission correctly in order to get the intended meaning. It's important then to know that accurate decoding depends very much on active listening, especially in audio communications. What then is active listening? Someone defined active listening as a communication technique where the listener fully engages with the speaker, focusing on understanding their message and perspective rather than simply listening to words. It involves paying close attention, showing interest, and reflecting on what's being said to demonstrate comprehension. Practically, active listening entails paying attention. You pay rapt attention to what is being said. Showing interest. When there is no interest, there can be interference and distraction. Reflecting and paraphrasing, rehearsing what you hear as you go along. Asking clarifying questions. Avoiding interruptions. And understanding the non-verbal components of the communication. All these will enhance active listening, and then you can get the meaning of the message transmitted to you. Number two, feedback in communication. Feedback in communication. It could almost be said that communication is incomplete without feedback. If we say so, it will be because there are times and there are senders who may not desire or bother about feedback. But the question is, will that make a difference? What's feedback in communication? And what are its benefits? Feedback in communication is the response or reaction from the receiver of a message to the sender. It's crucial for effective communication because it helps the sender to understand if their message was received and understood as intended, allowing them to adjust their approach if needed and when need be. Essentially, feedback closes the communication loop and ensures both parties are on the same page. End of quote. Feedback could be expressed or internalized. It could be made up of verbal or non-verbal cues, such as head nodding or body language. It can also be more forward, involving specific thoughts or pushback on what one party has said. Then the question is, How do we give or receive feedback effectively? And we want to bring the postulation of a particular scholar to you. He says, for feedback to be effective, then you need to take note of the following. Step 1, be specific. That is, provide concrete examples and details to make your feedback clear and actionable. Next, be constructive. That requires that you focus on behaviors and actions rather than making personal attacks. Next, be balanced. So include both positive reinforcement and areas for improvement. Next, be timely by offering feedback as close to the event or behavior as possible. Next, be open to listening. That means actively listen to the other person's perspective and be receptive to their feedback. Next, reflect on the feedback. That demands that you assess the value of the feedback and how it aligns with your goals and values. Let's now go on to look at some examples of feedback in communication. Just a few examples to buttress or illustrate the point we have made. When a listener asks for clarification after a presentation, that is feedback. Or a team leader asks a colleague for feedback on a presentation that has just been delivered, that is feedback. A teacher provides feedback on a student's assignment, essay or math or whatever it may be, that's feedback. A manager offers constructive criticism on a team member's performance, that is also feedback. A customer can provide feedback on a particular product or service, that is also feedback and is important. And we need to gather our feedback, examine the feedback, and be able to align them with our goals to know whether we are getting it right or wrong. Remember, our topic is effective communication. It will help us to know what to do next and how best to go about it. The third thing we want to look at is communication barriers and overcoming them. What are communication barriers and how can we overcome them? Communication doesn't always go as expected. That is a truth. It may not be quite pleasant, but it's the reality. Communication doesn't always go as expected. This is because certain barriers are often there and responsible for communication not to be effective. What then are communication barriers? Someone says communication barriers are obstacles that prevent messages from being received or understood accurately. They may not be received or received, but not properly or accurately understood. These barriers can arise from various sources, such as language differences, cultural misunderstandings, emotional states, or even physical limitations. Essentially, they interfere with the effective exchange of information. And that's why we need to give attention to communication barriers. Practically, we can point to the following types of communication barriers. 1. Physical barriers, like tangible obstacles, noise levels, poor lighting, or physical distance that may make it difficult to hear or see the message or the thing being presented. Next, language barriers. They are occasioned by differences in spoken language or the use of jargons which can create misunderstandings. Thirdly, emotional barriers. This could be positive or negative emotions that becloud judgment and make it difficult to receive or process information. Cultural barriers. Cultural barriers are differences in values, beliefs, communication styles with potentials to lead to misunderstanding. Next, we have psychological and perceptual barriers. They affect our minds, they affect our perspective, how we perceive others, how we perceive things. And they can block, they can be a barrier. We have geographical barriers. Then within our workplace, we have some barriers that we need to take note of. For example, information overload caused by conveying too much information at once, which could overwhelm the receiver and lead to confusion. Next to that, we have not choosing the right communication style. For example, using a written email when a face-to-face conversation will be more appropriate and effective. Industry jargon, such as using technical terms that not everyone understands, or a term that people will misunderstand. We have lack of trust between colleagues that result in not being open and honest. Next, we have lack of clear objectives, which is when objectives are not clearly defined. They are muddled up, they are not explicit. Poor listening skills are also there as barriers to communication. How then do we overcome barriers in communication? How can we overcome either all or at least a good number of these barriers, or at least reduce their potency, their place in communication? Let's look at a few. Be clear and concise in communicating. Use simple language to avoid jargons and terms or expressions that others may not understand or will confuse them. Number 2, choose the right communication channel. Consider the audience and the message when selecting a communication method. It will help to reduce the effect of barriers. Thirdly, be empathetic. Try to understand the other person's perspective. Try to take into consideration the other person's feelings and intentions. And number 4, promote open communication. That is, encourage two-way feedback and create a safe space for people to share their ideas. Number 5, seek feedback. That is, check to make sure the message has been understood and that correctly. Next, manage emotions. Manage emotions. Try to remain calm and rational, even when dealing with difficult situations. Next, be aware of cultural differences. Be sensitive to cultural differences because they matter. Take note of the cultural norms and values and have due respect for them. Address physical barriers. We mentioned a few of them. Deal with them. The ones you can remove, the ones you can avoid. Address physical barriers. Ensure the environment is conducive to effective communication. Finally, we want to look at a topic under effective communication: noise and handling noise. In communication, what is noise? How does it come in? When does it come in? How do we handle it? We'll look at that briefly. In communication, noise refers to anything that interferes with the clear and accurate transmission, reception, or interpretation of a message. This can be external or internal. That means it could be physical, or it could be physiological, psychological, semantic, or some other. But essentially, noise disrupts the communication process. It makes it harder for the receiver to understand the sender's intended meaning. And that's the reason why we need to deal with it. Understanding and addressing the various types of noise is crucial for effective communication to take place. By being aware of the potential sources of interference and taking steps to mitigate them, communicators can improve the clarity and accuracy of their messages. There are different types of noise in communication. Let's look at a few of them. But before we look at them, we need to inform you that noises come in various forms. Some are audible and easily recognized, while others are non-auditory and more challenging to detect. Yet, both are capable of significantly disrupting the flow of communication. Let's now look at the types of noises listed by a particular writer. 1. Physical noise. Physical noise is disruption caused by external sources that interfere with a communication process. 2. Psychological noise. Psychological noise affects how a message is perceived and understood due to factors like preconceived notions, stress, or emotional states, causing individuals to misinterpret or overlook critical information. Psychological noise. Thirdly, semantic noise. Semantic noise occurs when there is a disconnect between the sender and receiver regarding the meaning of words or phrases. We have mentioned something related to that. We need to be careful of our terms and concepts. 4, organizational noise. This is specific to the structure and culture of an organization. It could be hierarchical barriers, unclear communication channels, or conflicting messages from different departments. So we need to take note of that. 5, environmental noise. Environmental noise includes weather conditions, such as a storm causing a power outage during a virtual meeting, or even the layout of an office space that inhibits collaboration. We get to physiological noise, 6. Physiological noise is due to biological factors such as hearing impairments, fatigue, illness, or any other health condition that affects a person's ability to receive or interpret a message. Finally, number 7, technical noise. Technical noise emerges due to issues with communication technology, such as software glitches, poor quality audio or video connections, or hardware malfunctions. Communication is vital. It is extensive, but we have to end it here and proceed to something else. Thank you for tuning in. Did you pick anything new? Do you disagree with any thoughts expressed here? Is there something you want to draw our attention to or bring to our knowledge, or you want us to consider in our presentation? Please send them to the comment section or via our email displayed on the screen. For your information again, our international forum has commenced. We have started operation. Thank you very much. See you at the next session.